Hey everybody, welcome to Here's Out. I am Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
Very good, my friend, because we are going to talk about Gojira. Godzilla to us Westerners, but I prefer the original pronunciation, which I can never get right. But it does sound cool when it's said by a Japanese person and they say Gojira. Just really menacing. I love it. So we're talking about Godzilla, dude.
It's gonna be real fun.
Yeah.
The king of the monsters. The first kaiju.
King of the monsters, the first kaiju. See, again, cards on the table, as I always say, folks. I'm into, I like my classic monster movies. I like a lot of this stuff because grew up with an awful lot of it. But Paul, you're probably more of a modern kaiju expert in the Pacific Rim and a lot of the other uses of where kaiju have been in movies that are, mech related and other things and all the rest. We're going to touch on some of that. But really, since Godzilla is the first, the original, the big... Actually, you know what? We'll get him up on screen. There he is with his little come-to-bed eyes. It's the good old rubber suit Godzilla himself. Folks, Godzilla is the king of the monsters because as much as King Kong had his day where beauty killed the beast, Godzilla showed up in 1954 and was kind of an important message movie as much as a big monster movie. So Godzilla, when it started, and we're going to talk about the two new projects. Anybody who's come to hear about Godzilla -1 or Monarch Legacy of Monsters, we're getting to it. But I just don't think we can skip over the important origins of Godzilla. And Paul, for me, the big question, which is, do you like your Godzilla being like the protector, anti-hero, oh, he's a bit scary, but he's on our side, or the original Godzilla, which is, oh my god, there's a giant sea lizard who's knocking down Tokyo and is stepping on people and is eating and killing and just not the hero.
Do you want me to answer that now?
Go for it. Yeah, no, let's not bury the lead.
I don't think there's a difference between the two. I think as in I'm very much he's very much the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Like he anti-villain, like, or anti-hero at the max kind of thing. But like when in the latest American movies where they're just like, he's the protector of us. He's the protector, it's just like we'd be his pets and all this kind of stuff. It's like you're not selling it to anyone, by the way, mate. It's just like, so you're just choosing the one that will kill us less than the other one, because what's like they're all just like, he's like, he'll protect us all and stuff like this, and it's just like, what happens when he decides that he wants to take a poop across North America, or Asia or Russia or anywhere else? Like, a city's not going to stop him, just because it's like, oh, sorry, excuse me, going to go around your city. No, he's just going to be like, I'm the king of the monsters, screw it, San Francisco, goodbye.
I love that Godzilla
stuff
will forever be inextricably linked with knocking down cities. No matter what else Godzilla ever does, it's about kicking over cardboard buildings. Paul, but let's peel back the layers, because you're right. There's nuances to this that I'm looking forward to some of your opinions as we go on further. Godzilla, 1954, the start. Why am I taking it more seriously when it comes to, hey, my Godzilla has to be a danger? And it's because Godzilla was conceived of as a representation of the dangers of atomic energy. This is your big atomic lizard here for a reason. And it's no coincidence that in World War II, as everybody should know by now, especially if you've watched Oppenheimer, there was a large atomic event. In fact, there was two of them in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mm-hmm. So the Japanese people, they were on their knees still. They were recovering from the war. And you've got this embodiment of danger and of mankind's misunderstanding of power and their lack of cohesiveness with the environment, etc., etc. That's what Godzilla started as in the early days. But, Paul, I'm going to throw up an image with all of the many different Godzillas, and I couldn't find a credit for this. I used somebody else's image, and I would love to credit you, so I am as if you want to know. Which is like the Godzilla Junior.
Version. Yeah, it's like the cartoon kind of like trying to make kids happy about Godzilla kind of thing. He was smaller.
It's
Right, it wrote in a Doom bookie or something like that.
Scrappy Doo to Godzilla's Scooby.
Yeah,
They all had a go, didn't they? They all had a go at a
really
junior friend.
yeah, they really did. But yeah, talking about your kind of your analogy on Godzilla and being kind of the nuclear war thing. Yeah, so the whole point of Godzilla was, yeah, it was an analogy for nuclear war, nuclear power kind of thing. It doesn't like the story of essentially Godzilla being woken up from a nuclear explosion is not like, you know, some kind of like misnomer or mistake or anything. It's the sense is the nuclear power and nuclear weapons wakes up essentially a primal destructive force, you know, which doesn't in any way stop because of modern day conveniences or you know, morals or anything like that. That's what Godzilla was originally made for. So I just want to kind of emphasize that
Yeah.
part where, like, you know, the story even emphasizes nuclear war could end up waking up this primal destructive force.
And
So
and that's, you know, the mankind's unknowing danger of meddling with things and not really considering the fallout. No pun intended. But so 1954 Godzilla was, he, you know, there we go, stomping through a city, lovely black and white movie. Paul, I don't know, because we didn't talk about this. If you could guess at how many Godzilla movies there have been, do you know? And we're
I
including the
have
3 official animes in this.
okay. I think that they're probably about like close to 5, like, or upwards.
Well, Godzilla is in the Guinness Book of Records officially as the longest running franchise because there are 38. There are 33 Japanese and 5 American Godzilla movies. Like Godzilla, bless him, never met somebody he didn't want to, you know, fight. Because Godzilla started off as that terrifying force that came, knocked down everywhere. Japan had to fend him off, fight him, disintegrate him. And then Godzilla went on the World Boxing Tour. Because as the movies went along, and these original Japanese movies went along, Godzilla became, just because of the spectacle, slightly more popular, let's say. So Godzilla wasn't always, and this is where I'm going with that change from menace to a little gray area where, you know, more of a hero. By the 6th or 7th movie, Godzilla was protecting people and doing benevolent things. Along the way, obviously, the first one in the top corner there is Godzilla versus Kong, the first of the Godzilla versus. Then you got, you know, fights Ghidorah, Gigan, all these things. Destroya at one stage, pronounced like that. And then, you know, you got Mecha Godzilla, which, Paul, would you like to explain the rough idea behind something like a Mecha Godzilla? Because there's a long history of robot version of Kaiju, but it kind of
Yeah.
starts with Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, so like mecha in kind of Japanese kind of is a genre of entertainment which is about giant robots and everything like that. Obviously, they wanted to kind of merge the two, and they did this in several ways. They did it as I think the first one was a full blown mecha kind of robot version of Godzilla, and then as they kind of progressed further, they actually turned him more into a cyborg, as in he was like the old Godzilla who they had killed, and then taken his body and kind of transformed him into kind of their weapon system against kind of a new Godzilla. In the 1987 or 1980, sorry, not 80, sorry, 1997 or 1998 version, it's cartoon. He's a weapon system for an alien invasion, just to give you a weird kind of
Yeah.
like.
Actually,
kind
that
of
alien
thing, just-
invasion thing, if you look back through the history of Godzilla movies, Godzilla, the original Gojira, starts off as, you know, the big menace that I was talking about there. But very quickly, there's a extraterrestrial kind of theme that keeps reappearing. There's a lot of stuff coming through black holes, things being found on other planets, stuff coming from other planets, and Godzilla fighting them or sensing their presence. Godzilla does a lot of sensing, like more sensing people's presence than Darth Vader. Because like Godzilla senses that something's been awoken somewhere else, and Godzilla will wake up and show up and either save or fight or kill or destroy. Usually all 4 of those things. Until
I am
eventually,
surprised.
yeah. Sorry.
I am surprised that like he hasn't in like Charles Xavier he hasn't like started that they haven't started doing like the Godzilla like finger to the temple kind of
I think if they
something
gave
has
Godzilla
awoken.
long enough arms, that would be one. They've
Yeah,
never given him full temple arm. That's it.
true.
Although they have given him all sorts of other stuff. There was even a flying Godzilla in one of the movies. But you've got the obviously the original Japanese movies, and then the Western takes on things. So you had the 1998 Godzilla with um, Matthew Broderick and Leon himself, etc., etc. Which I should change my imagery for. So the new Godzilla's
Roland's
Roland
yeah
Emmerich did it.
Roland's yeah he was the director.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't remember Roland Emmerich, you got to remember he was doing big stuff like Independence Day. So Godzilla was it was no joke. Ferris Bueller showed up to fight a lizard in New York. Now they took a slightly different origin story, obviously enough. I'm one of the few people that defends this film. It's a complete mess, but if you just want to watch some things happen, like there's a couple of nice frames in Godzilla that I think the '98 version that I think are quite pretty. There's some rising seawater moments and a few other things, and I'm like, oh yeah, fair play, Godzilla.
They blame the French in that film as well,
They do.
which is very funny for random choosing a random nation to like blame. They blame the French for
Yeah.
doing nuclear testing in the
I think it's
French
because
Polynesian.
at the time France was actually annoying some of the world by talking about and doing some nuclear testing. So they opened themselves up. Now I think it was a few years beforehand, but Hollywood, they don't mind sticking the needle into a smaller market. They wouldn't have done that to a bigger box office market. sorry, the people of France. You'll get picked on as long as you don't go and see enough movies. But then you have the follow up Godzilla, which is kind of the current, let's say, Western incarnation in 2014, which had Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Or I should say Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, because they also play because they play brother and sister in the Marvel universe, and then they play like partners, like wife and husband in this one, which was a very kind of weird of watching you in one universe and then seeing you in another. But yeah, so the Godzilla, that one is the start of the monster verse. That's the start of the kind of wider monster verse kind of American adaptation of Godzilla.
Yes, which is why I'm sprinting into the next part, which is that Godzilla King of the Monsters. This really was the start. We ended up with Godzilla versus Kong. But Godzilla King of the Monsters was that, for me, it was that confirmation that they were going to do the version of Godzilla that isn't just a terrifying monster. Because, let them fight. Godzilla will go and save us from much worse nasties. Again, I agree with you, not a complete hero, but definitely not the original Godzilla that I think of. When I think of Godzilla, I think you should be crapping your pants, Freddy Krueger level scared of Godzilla is going to be outside my house. He's going to squish me. Godzilla is going to eat people. This Godzilla is, I'm not going to say completely friendly or benign, but is definitely on the human side, let's say.
Yeah, see, I don't still think he is, because if you look at his actions, he still walks through a city, and it's weird that it's the only thing that the only part in the film that actually suggests that he's more on the human side is after he has killed one of the other monsters, he leaves. Like, is the only part instead of just continuing on. But there's this there's a scene where a bunch of people are standing on rubble of a skyscraper, clapping and wooing him as he leaves, and I'm just like, he's one of the monsters that destroyed your home. Like,
Look what you're standing
really
on
your side. Yeah, if he was really on your side, he would have dragged that monster out to sea, or in like the Midlands, where they wouldn't.
And this is the fun part, because I agree with you. I'm talking about the narrative that the movies and the stories suggest.
Especially Monarch. Yeah, Monarch is a big player in the kind of like he's a good monster.
He's Godzilla. But I agree with you. There's no way you can be a kaiju, walk around and be completely benevolent unless you are the most deft on your little tippy toes, able to walk sideways up streets, or just stay out of cities altogether. Because Much like everything else, when you see buildings being knocked over in movies, and everybody's like, "Thank God, no one was hurt." It's like the skyscraper. There was people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop clapping,
It's like when you,
dumbasses.
it's like when you see Superman and General Zod blast through a bunch of skyscrapers, and they're just like, isn't he not meant to kill people? And it's just like, he killed thousands.
Yeah.
General Zod probably helped.
My favorite part of Batman v Superman is Bruce Wayne showing up and them finally acknowledging, by the way, these 50 buildings that got knocked over, they were full of people, you asses.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I use bad language. Paul, we've got to it now. So now we're into it because that leads to Monarch. You just mentioned this is the Monarch take. Why is that important? So Monarch is this hidden society, this John Goodman has portrayed the same character in a few of the movies so far and is obviously, from the trailer for Monarch Legacy of Monsters, going to feature. So they got a snazzy little logo. They've been behind everything. They've known about the Kaiju. They know a lot more than they're letting on. So they knew about Kong. They knew about Godzilla, all this kind of stuff. And that's what Apple TV Plus are going to do. They're going to talk about, or they're going to have a fun movie or a series of, I keep getting it wrong. They have a fun TV series that's going to be monsters, and they're going to have, because they will not be able to resist it, have the narrative of a hero monster. I'm betting that it's going to remain Godzilla. I don't think they're going to do a heel turn on this one. I think Godzilla is still going to be that king of the monsters. Thank God for him. If it wasn't for Godzilla, we'd all be squished by Ghidorah or whatever.
Yeah, I think they're going to play into more because like Monarch is quite early. It's actually quite early on in the and in the Americanized adoption, they have a lot of callbacks to the original Monarch group as well. The pocket watch is very important. It's a remnants of like the pocket watch that gets passed on from a family who are heads of the Monarch kind of organization. But yeah, it's an international organization that essentially it's meant to be full of scientists who investigate and kind of look at the history of the monsters. And yeah, I think Monarch is going to be like a monster of the week, kind of like smaller monsters, but revealing some kind of like, bigger monster where, they're not, and I don't, as you said, I don't think it like, episode 7, Godzilla's going to turn around and like kill someone and then like we're going to have like 7 episodes later where we're just like, he killed that guy. Like no one else sees this, like kind of like, Godzilla panicking every time he saves someone and Monarch are there. He's just like, look, I saved people. Yeah, I didn't murder that one guy, and then walks off.
And that's the fun thing for me, because as much as like I've said, my Godzilla is it's a horror movie. It's terrifying, and that's why the movie that's coming up interests me more than the TV show. But I'll still watch this yet again. Paul, Apple TV Plus keep showing up on our bloody radar with things that we're going to watch and want to watch. But there's an intriguing extra layer to this, and that is Kurt Russell and Kurt Russell's real life son are both going to be playing the same character in different time periods. Like you said, the Monarch thing, it goes way back. So they're going to tell this story over a period of time, jumping forward and jumping back, I assume. And they've done it. Somebody's finally gone, why don't we get somebody's real life son, who's an actor, to be the younger version of their dad, who's also an actor. I hate, like, the jaw is so different for me between those two Russells that I'm like, really? You could have cast somebody else who looked more like Kurt Russell as their son. I'm glad they did it, don't get me wrong, but I ain't buying it that, oh yeah, sure, that father and son are so identical that this just makes sense.
Yeah, Matt Smith.
Here you go.
Just straight off my head, he's the like big old like jawline. So he's the idea is that he'll be playing essentially a past version and future version, Kurt Russell and his son playing of essentially someone who's deeply involved in the Monarch system, and John Goodman's character, who is the head of Monarch at the time of King Kong Skull Island, is supposedly setting some things in motion in which Kurt Russell's character is going to kind of pick up the baton and continue on with, and then draw more people into the Monarch kind of conspiracy, I guess. And with that, doing the monster of the week kind of thing. So
So do you think this is a good idea from a, they'd already done Godzilla, then they did Godzilla King of the Monsters, then they did Godzilla versus Kong. Do you think transferring to a TV series will allow them to then transfer back to their next big movie?
Yeah, I think this is going to be like so. I think this is going to be like Agents of Shield type thing where they're gonna tell the story of Monarch, because the thing is that not a lot of people like they creep up in the first American adaptation of Godzilla reboot kind of one, and then they continue to go. No one like they don't. No one sits down with the audience and kind of goes, "This is what Monarch are.
Yeah.
This is how long they've been running. This is why they're kind of like why no one like they're like the Illuminati essentially of like secret organization kind of things of that kind of way." So
Yeah.
I think it's going to give people a little bit more better understanding about what they actually do, and then when they transition back to the movie, you're going to see like the symbol of Monarch suddenly turn up in the middle of some kind of thing, and you're not going to be like, who are they? Are they like the monster Ghostbusters? Like what the hell are they? Kind of thing. So
Well,
I think they're doing that kind of fashion.
And I think I'm open to correction by the internet. I think it was Godzilla King of the Monsters that had a post-credit scene that was very monarchy, if you know what I mean. That it was hidden room, extra tape, all that kind of stuff. Here's old footage and something's coming. I think it's a good idea for what you've just described. I think this is a chance where they can do their Monarch thing, have their superstar, have their Kim Kardashian in Godzilla just walk across screen a bunch of times, be a player, like Agents of Shield. You can have some of your Avengers adjacent things be mentioned, so they can mention Skull Island, they can do all sorts of stuff, but you're not going to necessarily have like this isn't going to be one episode on Kong, one episode on Godzilla, etc., etc. And Mothra isn't going to get a whole episode to herself, I don't think. I think it's a great idea because it's interesting, it can be fun, and it can be filler. Like you say, it can be its own thing and then just show up in the next bunch of movies. As if you watch that stuff, then you know what we're talking about. If you didn't, it's not going to hold you back. And personally, I like that kind of expanding and padding of worlds. It's like, while you were watching this stuff was happening over here.
Yeah, like it's not going to be, and I do think that they're more than likely not going to do it in the same vein of like Marvel's, which is you have to watch it to understand what they're going. They're going to be just like, yeah, it was like Event A, and you're going to be like, what the hell is Event A? Is that something that did I mention that like 30 minutes ago in the movie? Was that when I went to the bathroom? It's like, I don't think they're going to be overly padding it with information that you're just like, you have to watch the TV show. I think they're just going to be like, oh, look, it's like, you're going to be like, oh, Kurt Russell's here. And then they'll be like, yeah, he's in like the TV show. And it's like,
exactly.
oh, yeah, he's like, and you'll be just like, oh, maybe I'll watch that kind of stuff.
Well,
I do think that the American Godzilla and Japan's Godzilla has recently taken a fork in the road, though, because and we're going to talk about that later. But Shin Godzilla, which is a 2016 Godzilla movie, brought Godzilla back to kind of the evil, kind of like destructive force, and I think they're going to play that up even further in the movie. We're going to talk about.
And Paul, we've got a minute before we're going to take an ad, so I'm just going to throw this open to keep people interested. Stay with us when we go to our ad breaks, and definitely watch them. Godzilla -1. This is the next Japanese take, and it's going to come out this year also. I saw the trailer for this and instantly was like, that right there is my Godzilla movie. And I will show you, there's not much to show, but the look in that lady's face when she's looking out the window and sees Godzilla coming and just says, it's Godzilla. That's what I want. I'm into it for, oh gosh. In the trailer, you can see Godzilla stepping on people on purpose. I think this is going to be the Godzilla that people are hiding from. This is your Jurassic Park Godzilla, where people are hiding from raptors and T-Rexes and stuff. So I'm down with that. But we can talk about Godzilla -1 in a few moments. Everybody stick around. Definitely want to get to the comments because I can see some good ones in there. And I want to hear from all of our viewers which Godzilla adaptation they prefer most, or who is their Godzilla. Big bad or big good? We'll be right back. Before there was Stranger Things. Before there was Chris Pine. there was Homebrew Quest. Hang on, that doesn't make any sense. Let me start again. YouTube is great for watching Hear Us Out, but what if you'd like a bit of D&D in your life? Homebrew Quest are a bunch of brilliantly creative Irish folks playing a homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign inspired by Irish mythology. But even more inspired by the brews they're drinking in each episode. Ireland's supposed to be the land of saints and scholars, but it's also got drinkers and YouTubers, one of which might look a tad familiar. So get yourself over to Homebrew Quest and join the adventure. Links in the description down below, or search term Homebrew Quest. Tell them Hear Us Out sent you. Welcome back, everybody. That is another channel that I can only recommend for one reason, and it isn't that Paul's in it. It's because it's a great channel. It's a great channel. Go and check out Homebrew Quest. Paul is just a bonus. I would see that. You thought I was going to go the other way. You thought I was going to be mean. Not today. Not today.
We start filming the new series 6th of October.
Excellent. So mark it in your date or your diary, folks. That is when you're going to start seeing some more good content over there on Homebrew Quest. Search term on YouTube, Paul, is Homebrew Quest, and it should get right to you guys. Exactly. So, Paul, we've got the TV show, which is going to be a bit of behind the monsters, behind the kaiju, the human side of it. You know, who's pulling strings, who's covering up, who knew what and when, how are they tracking these things, a bit more lore, mythos, etc.
Yeah,
Godzilla -1 is the opposite.
Yeah, there's got to be a couple of organizations that are involved in this kind of thing, and Monarch will reveal those. But yeah, -1 is the opposite of that, which is it's going to start focusing on the bigger guy, I guess, and more destructive again.
And much like Shin Godzilla, since it's back to destructive Godzilla, this is where I am down with it, because I said we'd go to the comments. I can see somebody pop culture. Thank you, good to see you. Said I love giant creatures fighting, so Godzilla and Kong and all these types of movies just make me happy. I'm down with it. It's very hard not to like big monsters fighting. You know, people can say, oh, I'm not into sci-fi, or I'm not into foreign language movies or anything else. Throw on a good Godzilla movie and you'll find something to have fun with. In my case, because I'm not a super horror guy, I do like a big scary monster, as in a big scary monster, because I know they can't fit in my house and be right behind me while I'm watching it. See where I'm going with this, Paul? It's the mental comfort of knowing Godzilla can't be in the room with me while I'm watching Godzilla. Whereas it and all that stuff, bugger could be behind the couch just waiting for me while I'm watching the damn movie. At least I know Godzilla, I'm going to see a glass of water shake.
You're always going to see him. It's just if you're able to do anything about it is the thing.
It's one of those things where you can't have the he's right behind me moment. Although I think they may have even done that where he's like outside a window. But it's like, he's right behind me, isn't he? In horror films, I'm like, oh God, he is, yes. Except Godzilla, you would have to be missing most of your senses not to know, hear, feel, see, and probably smell. There's a whole other topic. What do you think Godzilla smells like? Personally, I'd say it's a mixture of fish and rage.
Yeah. If anyone has ever owned a snake, I haven't owned a snake, but they stink.
There you go. To all the snake owners out there.
I've walked in. I've been in a friend's house who collects snakes, and it is not pleasant.
Right. I can't say I've known or noticed, but growing up beside the sea, most things that come out of it, and Godzilla is one of those things, tend to carry an odor too. So, snaky, fishy, stinky man. Also, essentially causing earthquakes with at a light amble, never mind a full jog. So, Paul, to the comments just maybe before we get into Godzilla -1 and then close up. Brian says, size does matter is a terrible tagline, and that was in relation to the, and I'll flick it back up. It's the new Godzilla movie that was in 1998. It did have size does matter as a tagline. I'd forgotten that. And yeah, it's a bit, it's a bit of a...
it's a very 90s, it's a very 90s tagline. Like, it couldn't be, like, that's The 1998 one is very much of its time, where it's just like, yeah, nerds. No one listens to nerds until it's too late, and then we need to listen to nerds. You know, once again, once again, the French coming in and actually listening to all the experts, kind of thing, actually doing the job and stuff. Whereas the U.S. military is like, yeah, nerd, kind of thing. So
That's so
but
true. Interesting and confusing soundtracks ever, because you had like
yeah,
so many of the time banger hits. Sean P Diddy, Puffy Combs, um, Led Zeppelin mixes. Everybody had a go at doing a bit of Godzilla, and some of the videos that go along with it. Just go back and YouTube the Godzilla music videos. They're really bloody weird, man. Like I
yeah.
love the 90s, but I forgot how weird we were.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Apache helicopter scene in like chase scene put towards like some kind of music video kind of thing, because that happens. I can't remember which band it is,
Yeah.
but it's there. Is very weird. It also reminds me of like the Dolby sound thing, where it has a helicopter like flying around and then it hits. I was just like, what's going on here?
Deep cut.
Yeah. So the last Godzilla was better. My annoyance is that mostly at night. Look, I'll be honest with you, and this is a pet peeve of mine. Large fight scenes at night, because Venom was ruined by a night fight. Which was the first Spider-Man Homecoming. That was also a big fight night kind of thing on a plane.
Yeah.
Like it's easier for CGI artists, and so it's not easier for CGI artists. It's easier for CGI to hide certain aspects at night, kind of thing. So it's a little bit easier. So that's why they do a lot of it at night, where it makes it feel a little bit more real.
It's true,
but it also makes it a little bit more obscure, which I guess is the point.
We've talked about it before. I'm with you. I don't like the let's hide our CGI in a night fight.
Yeah. Haven't seen King of the Monsters. It's a fun one. It really leans into the Monarch side of things. I was actually going to remember, because you were saying at the end of King of the Monsters that there's a Monarch scene. It actually isn't. That sets up the Mecha Godzilla in Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, okay.
Which is like that another evil monarch organization that also seems to be able to hide, a huge big door that no one really. Never mind.
Yeah, and this is the thing. From the origins of Godzilla all the way through its extraterrestrial, all of the stories around Godzilla. I want to go on the record as saying, yes, Godzilla fan, but absolutely understand how bonkers, illogical, and scatty the plots, stories, and even in some cases, just everything about the movies are off the wall. So no, I'll never defend and say, why hasn't a Godzilla movie won an Oscar? Because it shouldn't. None of them are Oscar-worthy films, but not all films are for Oscars. Some films are for popcorn and fun, and in the case of Godzilla -1, for me to be crapping my pants while also knowing that I'm safely not going to have the titular bad guy right behind me.
Yeah, no. So, Godzilla -1. Yeah, it seems to go back to the origins of kind of Godzilla, where he's essentially just an anti. It's a bad guy. It's essentially just a gigantic wild monster that's in the city. It looks good in the sense that they're going through that route again, because it brings it back of kind of just. It's not like Godzilla was not meant to be a friendly kid, protector kind of thing. It's meant to be an analogy for nuclear power and nuclear war.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that kind of being brought back to its original origins. It's nice that we get both now.
Yeah.
We get to see old Godzilla wrecking the shop, and then we get new Godzilla wrecking the shop, but everybody's just like, he's a hero.
And they're all dumbasses, because, Paul, you were absolutely right. He's a dangerous, dangerous hero who isn't checking if he's standing on your house.
Exactly. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Can I just, one comment, I caught it out of the corner of my eye, it made me laugh while we're on air. I'm sorry, in the middle of you speaking, I should never just start randomly going, it must be distracting. But pop culture got in there with, Godzilla movies make perfect sense. What are you talking about? And to that I say, well done, sir. Well done, because never was sarcasm more clear and not in need of a /S anywhere in that comment. So thank you very much. Godzilla vs. Kong was fun when it got going, says Brian. Yeah. Do you know, like, The new Godzillas, they're very silly, particularly, when you get into the Mecha Godzilla stuff. I kind of jumped the shark a little bit for me there, but I respect them for just going, hey, it's Godzilla. We're going to have a go. We're going to have a go. So you kind of can't go wrong for me with Godzilla. You can do it not to my taste, but I'll never judge you for it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So Godzilla -1 is also set back in time. It's set just after World War II.
Post-war, yeah.
Again. So that it's essentially possibly a soft reboot of the original kind of Godzilla, rather than the Americanized reboot of the 1998 reboot, kind of, which is a sentence I hate saying because just this time of reboots, kind of thing. So I'm happy, as I said, I'm happy to go back to the original. I'm happy to go back to the original kind of like setting and also the plot of Godzilla, kind of thing in New Age.
So Paul, we're in good shape with a TV show with one flavor of Godzilla, and like we talked about, hopefully the decent intrigue and twists and turns of what humans have been up to and what we know, and maybe what have we caused, what has been done on our behalf that we don't know about. Brilliant. I love a little bit of extra world building. And also then in December we get to see Godzilla, Gojira, run away, scream, run in terror. Awesome. So yeah, I think this is going to go down for me, if both of these work out the way they should, as the perfect Godzilla year. Because you kind of never got that before now, the 2-in-1. They spaced each other out through distribution deals and agreements with TriStar and other publishing entities. But this time we're actually going to get a bit of a push of Godzilla, which is nice.
Yeah, it's nice to see the big fella back.
Yeah, that was good.
Which is, if you were to say, so everybody in the audience, if you were to say, is Godzilla essentially a hero? Is he a bad guy? Is he just a force of nature? Or is he something that we should fear completely? And so it's one of those things where it's just like, Godzilla is so strong and so powerful that I will bow to him, and anything that he wants, kind of thing. Or, do you think he's a good guy? My question is,
frantically try and check the Twitter poll that I forgot about.
Do you think he's a good guy? Do you think he's a bad guy? That's the question, essentially. Are you happy to see him step on your house, or are you angry to see him step on your house? So you're just like, yay, Godzilla's here, or are you like, Godzilla's here?
And the Twitter, now called X, poll results where 75% say raging kill monster, 25% say he's looking out for us. So it's leaning in the raging kill monster. And Brian just said, I'd want him on my side. That's the thing, Brian. I think we'd all want him on our side. Yeah. But much like a lot of animals out there that I want to be able to go up and hug, I can't. Check the internet for people who've recently been running up to bears in wild situations thinking that they must be friendly. And it doesn't end well. So yeah, I think Godzilla deep down is our buddy, in the same way that most people look at. I think the analogy that we'd be like his pets is pretty good.
Yeah.
So nice in that kind of way, but is still stepping on you if you're not his favorite pet.
Indeed.
So Paul, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, so which is your favorite? So asking the community, which is your favorite Godzilla film? Do you prefer the old Godzilla? Do you prefer the new Godzilla, the Americanized kind of, or the old Japanese kind of style movie version? What would you like to see Godzilla fight next?
I like that. That has to be the question of the week. What would you like to see, or whom would you like to see Godzilla fight? I know there's going to be a lot of votes for Mike Tyson and other things, but I think my vote would be a 3-way fight between Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Godzilla. Two of those people have been talking about fighting each other, and I kind of want Godzilla in the ring because then I know who to put my money on, and I'll be all right with the outcome. So
I don't feel dirty.
Exactly.
By betting on Godzilla.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Like, subscribe, share, let your friends know. Anybody out there who's a big Godzilla fan that sees this, let us know if we've done your big G-man proud. Other than that, you can join us next week for some more random and interesting topics on the owl interwebs. And with that, Paul, I have been Patrick.
I have been Paul.
And we've been Hearside. We'll see you soon.
Talk to you later.
Godzilla roar. Roar.